All right, welcome to the second episode of Cryptid Bones.
Yeah, number two.
Number 2. So
Yeah.
I've got Nick,
Yep.
I got Tony,
Eh,
got me. So today we're talking about UFOs. We're talking about the
Wait,
possibility.
did you say this was the second episode?
I did.
Okay.
I'm
My brain is just that bad.
so today we're talking about the possibility of alien life. Is it possible? Have you seen it? Give me.
Well, I brought this one up to Keith because I was recently listening to I'm actually still currently listening. I'm almost finished, or I got like an hour left of the Joe Rogan podcast with he has Bob Lazar on,
Okay.
with a guy he did a documentary with on him. And for anybody who doesn't know who Bob Lazar is, and I honestly didn't know before the other day, is he's the one who kind of exposed Area 51 to the world.
That's right. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I remember actually I had a model. He's the one who kind of the flying saucer. Like there used to be a model actually of the flying saucer. I remember like, oh shit, I had one of those when I was a kid.
Yep. And that's an interesting point. Like, so we all think about alien life. We think about the flying saucer.
Mhm.
You know, like what pops into my mind is the top spinning one direction and the bottom spinning another direction.
Oh, I've never even seen him spin before.
Yeah.
you know, I've always been a fan of the triangular ones.
Okay.
that you see.
Yeah.
They're basically just a big triangle with 3 lights on each side, and sometimes
Well,
there's
that
one
was
in
in
the middle.
Phoenix.
Other times,
Yeah, the
there
Phoenix
isn't.
lights.
Remember the Phoenix lights? There you go.
There's some really crazy shit that happens in Arizona, particularly in northern Arizona.
Well,
We're a hotspot.
Where was that video? It was like one of the most recent UFO videos. It was like a couple years ago of the U.S. Air Force pilot who was chasing
Where
a UFO.
was that? Where was that?
I forgot.
I know what you're
I
talking
think it was a Navy.
about.
I think I was hearing about it today. I think it might have been a Navy pilot,
Have you ever heard of I'm
but he chased it for like 5 minutes.
I haven't
Really?
seen
And
that
it does
one.
happen where like the military sometimes will end up chasing these things.
well, like that's
Yeah.
what a Foo Fighter is.
Yeah.
That's what a Foo Fighter is.
Shout out to Dave Grohl.
Shout out. Give me one.
Yeah.
But like a Foo Fighter, a Foo Fighter is the best way to explain it is a Foo is a light in the sky.
Right.
Pretty interesting. But the other thing that I want to bring up is I forget the acronym. It's a unidentified submerged object.
Well, no, and there was
So-
one other. When I was listening to
Go ahead.
Rogan, apparently the government started calling UFOs something differently, like a
Yeah.
different acronym. I forgot the name, what it was exactly. I guess Hillary Clinton said like, "Oh, we don't call them UFOs anymore. We call them this," and it completely opened the eyes up of like, "Oh shit, we can go back to these documents and actually find that term."
That's
And like
crazy.
that's what they're describing as a UFO.
That's crazy. And there's been so many. Like, well, you know, I'll just start with Area 51. Just start with Area 51. What are your thoughts on? I'm just going to give it a round.
I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna look
Go
up
ahead.
the term.
I'm
that they're
going to
using
give it a
now.
round table. I'm going to give it a round table. Area 51. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, for me, it wouldn't be definitely not that far fetched for something actually to slip through the cracks of the shadow curtain, as it were.
Right.
I mean, something like Roswell could easily be,
Well,
legit,
Roswell, good. Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, I've read a few different things on it. I mean, none that really stick in my brain, but
Yeah.
it would make sense. I
Yeah.
could definitely believe it.
Well, why I bring this up is I feel like there's a lot of technology that's not given out yet.
No,
Yeah.
that wouldn't surprise me. Well, it really is feasible to think that a lot of the technology that we have now and the leaps that we've been able to accomplish have been based off of something that would be extraterrestrial.
There you
made.
go. Yeah.
That's totally that. I mean, fucking Velcro, man.
Microwaves.
Microwaves. Well, like
No more Jiffy Pop on the stove.
no more.
Actually, I have to admit, I did enjoy that process.
Yeah,
Just shaking
yeah.
it back and forth
Yeah,
on,
you
on the
shake
burner.
it. You shake it and it pops and like it. Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about something fun to do when you're baked, man. You just see it expand, and then
Oh.
it explodes.
I want to say so. I looked it up. So she called it a UAP, which
UAP.
it stands for unidentified aerial phenomenon
Whoa.
or phenomena.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's what they were referring to them as now because people see UFOs in documents like, oh, it's a UFO. It's like, what the hell's a UAP?
Fancy.
So in our times, what do you think is the most like credible evidence? What do you think?
I think a lot of it is credible to one degree or another.
Well, it's exactly.
I mean, but the idea, especially nowadays when we have technology to easily doctor photos and video and
Photoshop.
all these wonderful things, it's hard to really distinguish the real from the fake. And
Well, you and I actually, particularly on the Bigfoot episode, we talked about that, like how easy it is to take a photo and make it different.
well, it's really hard for people, I think, to really believe without the visual experience for themselves. I think a lot of it has to do with that. Until a hardcore skeptic actually has a UFO experience or an extraterrestrial experience for themselves, it really it's hard to flip them. And then
Yeah.
when they do, and then all of a sudden, okay, now I believe. Or even if they are still cynical about the experience itself, they'll open their minds a little bit more into the research behind it, or at least try to get a more understanding of it to see how well it aligns and parallels with his or her own experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that have had experiences that won't talk about it.
Right.
Those are the people I'll actually be more willing to believe. One thing with Bob Lazar I was learning about was, well, the big thing is like he wanted the public to know about what was going on, and even when he was still working there, he'd take his friends out to like a certain part of the desert. Like, yeah, they're flying these things around. Like, I'm gonna take you there. And they went there, and like he got cocky at one point, apparently, and like security showed up, and they kicked him out. But one thing is like they like a lot of stuff like he talked about, like even then is like you can actually we're able to prove it later on. Like some element I think he talked about, like element like 113 or something.
Okay.
And eventually he talked about it years before, but apparently like, it ended up getting discovered like in the last like few years.
Really?
And he talked about it, and he got raided by the FBI not too long ago.
Well, that tells you something.
And I think there's still a little bit of conspiracy stuff in there, like really, but a lot of the stuff he'll talk about, it's like he can kind of back it up in some way. And even that was one of the first things he said was like, look, I can't really prove what I'm telling you is true.
Well, yeah.
And
Well,
he doesn't, for years he wouldn't even talk about it. And when he was on Rogan, he was like, yeah, I have a migraine, and he's like, I really didn't want to do this, but I decided to.
Well, like on the note from, I'm gonna jump off from what you were saying. What do you think about abduction? You got Betty and Barney Hill. Barney Hill. They were the.
I'd be more inclined to believe that it was the military abducting people.
Well,
but even then, why are they abducting these people?
The big thing about abduction is lost time.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
that
about.
is something.
Like that's. So Betty and Barney Hill are on record. They're
'Cause
driving.
when was that? The 50s?
50. We did a full episode
Yeah,
on this. It was 56. I think it was. But they claimed to be abducted, and it like woke up driving their car, and they were like 6 hours behind when they were supposed to be home. So I honestly like abduction is something that's really kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's where you get into like hybridism. Like, are they taking us to?
I've never met anybody who's been abducted either. So
Me neither. But the thing is like, okay, so if you get into abduction, is this something to where they're doing experiments where you get the whole classic fire in the sky shit, or where there's a lot of people that believe that
sometimes they'll take them up to like just talk to them.
exactly. Well, there's a lot of people that believe in there's like a Bigfoot thing. But I'm not going to get into it, but
Yeah.
like
Got to bring your Bigfoot reference in. Don't
how
you?
to do it.
Gotta throw the foot in, huh?
And the foot.
But
The squatch.
the squatch. What I'm getting into is hybridism.
Mhm.
Like fucking with our DNA.
Oh,
Like,
that's an interesting thing, actually. It's like
Yeah.
you'd go into junk DNA and all that, which I think like a lot of species end up having junk DNA
yeah. Well, like
because it's just a primordial thing we just don't
yeah.
need anymore.
Well, it's like our small toe, our pinky toe.
Yeah.
Is not used. We don't use it
or
anymore.
our appendix.
Or appendix.
Or what is our appendix for?
It's actually doesn't do anything anymore.
No?
No, it doesn't. That's why. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where that guy
that's right.
he pulls it out.
But your appendix can burst at some point.
That's-
Appendixes for everybody.
Yeah, there's an episode of The Simpsons where this guy like pulls it out and throws it away, and it blows up like a hand grenade.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
that's the Junior Campers episode.
I think I knew someone once who had their appendix burst inside them.
It
And
kill you.
It's bad.
It can kill you.
Yeah.
It can kill you.
Because they have to get all that crap out of there.
Well, like on that note, what I'm going to move on to is like I forget implants.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that have claimed that they have implants, and they
Microchips and stuff.
yeah, and they get what do you call it? Where you get put in a thing and get scanned.
Like
an MRI.
MRI, and they confirm that there's metal there.
Mm.
It's like that's something. You know what I mean?
Well, when it comes to implants, particularly implants, there's a nefariousness about it that I think would go beyond the realm of simple testing and tagging that you would get from an extraterrestrial abduction. I think really that's more of a shadow government type of deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me
in-
too.
in that
I think
type
I would
of
think that
realm,
as well.
That's because I mean, Laura, I remember the '90s. Everyone was pushing that V chip down everyone's throat. Track your kids.
Track
Did
your
South
kids,
Park do an
track-
episode about that?
They did.
Yeah.
I thought the V chip wasn't the thing with the TV.
And, no,
Well, it
well,
was the episode you're talking about was where Cartman was like cussing and
Yeah.
then, like he'd cuss. And
Oh
like,
yeah, I think that was what the V chip was. It was the thing in the TV
Yeah,
you could
they-
turn on and it like filter out like bad stuff or
V
certain
chip-
channels. I
I
forgot.
remember it became kind of a blanket term also for tracking chips in children.
Yeah.
I wonder what V stands for.
I don't know.
I don't know. So,
Villainy, I don't know.
Pretty much.
so the next thing I want to get into is what are the two of you? What is your idea of the possibility of alien life?
100%.
Well, it would be I'm sorry.
It would be an ass.
astronomical waste of space.
It would be
Yeah.
an ass of space right there, man.
It just depends on where it's at. It could be within 10 light years of us. It could be within 1,000 light years of us. We don't
well,
fucking know.
Well, the thing is mathematically, it's impossible for.
They're even saying, well, I mean,
yeah.
you look at like what is it, like Titan or Europa or something like one of the moons around Jupiter. They say that they're like because it's covered by ice.
It is.
There's
Titan.
Titan. There's theories out there that there's water underneath. In fact, I think they said there's probably water underneath because they found like at times where maybe there's like something that explodes out or the ice kind of shifts and
throws a flare.
moves.
I can't remember if it's that moon or a different planet that has a different type of ice that isn't cold. It's
It might be
not
like Venus or something.
You're
I just remember, like, I saw a documentary on it, and I thought that was one of the coolest fucking things. Ba-doom-ts.
But
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
just by the numbers, I mean, it's highly improbable that we're the only sentient race in the universe.
it's mathematically impossible. It's mathematically impossible.
Right, that's what I mean by the
Yeah,
numbers.
Yeah.
But then again, also, there's only so far that we can see, and also for radio waves to travel.
Mm-hmm.
That is completely hindered on the technology that we currently have. Now we take a look, and I think it's actually more interesting in the recolonization planets that we look at, the ones that are closest to Earth's
Mars.
atmosphere.
Well,
Uh,
I just had a crazy thought come over me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just kind of had to get this out. Well, maybe what if, like, as you know, the further away we move away from Earth, the more time slows down or whatever. And they say, you can go away from Earth, that you could be like an astronaut, you go away for a year, but you come back, it's 100 years later.
Right.
Shit like that. I don't
Planet
know
of
the
the
exact.
Apes.
Yeah, pretty much like a Planet
It's
of the Apes situation.
E equals MC squared is what that is.
But what it's like when definitely I'll just throw my little hat out there, and this is totally just me, just kind of being like this would be kind of interesting. Is like, what if it's just people coming back? Like, what if UFOs and everything are just people coming back from like centuries ahead?
Hey, that's a good one.
Maybe
I
they
like
somehow,
that.
maybe they left us somehow, like maybe 50 years in the future,
The Atlanteans.
and they're coming back and to to study us, because that is a
That's-
form of time travel.
Well, you actually bring me to my next question. What would be the purpose of abduction? What would be the purpose of?
So educate themselves.
Yeah, well, right.
Well, and there, they got whole things out there about like with ancient aliens, like coming to Earth and experimenting on our DNA.
Here's the thing: is it us from the future? Is it us from another timeline? Is it us from another?
Interdimensional beings,
Yeah,
alternate dimension.
No, but then again, though, you also run into the barrier of a lot of these reported sightings, abductions. A lot of them describe almost a being that's almost silicon-based rather than carbon-based.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I follow.
Now that I kind of find interesting, because what if we are one of the few carbon-based races in the universe?
Oh,
or
that's
the
a good
planet,
point.
I wish you guys could see me. I did a double
Wait,
finger. I was like, whoa.
with the the way we evolved and the whatnot. shit, why not?
Yeah.
Well, like look at
Now
the.
there's bragging rights right there. We're made of carbon, bitches.
You're
The
not.
big C.
That's crazy. Well, so here's the other thing. Like on piggybacking on what he said. Okay, so any other planet, any other life form could be based on something else. It could be sulfur based. It could be hydrogen based. Like think
Fungus based.
fungus based.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's true.
like there's a theory that one of the moons on Titan, it actually has liquid methane. So there's actually a theory that methane based creatures could live there.
I thought Titan it was actually like water.
It's methane.
Is it methane?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there are a whole like I think around Mercury there's actually like liquid methane like oceans.
Oh, exactly.
Man, Mercury is just a fucking trip. Closest fucking planet to the sun. Half of it's scalding, just retardedly hot, and then, well, like ridiculously hot. And the other half is frigidly cold.
Well, and they did confirm liquid water on Mercury.
Yeah, I don't want to live there.
Well, it's,
If I want to live somewhere hot, I'll stay in Arizona.
But I think there's actually
Parts
projects
unknown.
being discussed out there to send like a craft to I think Titan to actually drill down into the ocean and see if there's anything there. You know, drilled through all that. You know, who knows how far down the ice
Well,
goes.
you would
I'm
have
sure that I'm sure they know like it's 100 feet down, whatever.
You know, I
but-
could see that as a premise for a terrible remake of The Thing.
No, it's true. But no, they want to send something down, drill through the ice, and send something down and see if there's anything in the water. Which how crazy it would be all of a sudden they found out like, oh shit, there's fucking creatures that live down here.
So okay, you make an awesome point here. What is the ethics if creatures exist on another planet? Are we okay to go over and create a society? Like is that okay?
That would be a very
that's like an Avatar Avatar.
Is
question right
that
there.
okay?
That's a long-winded process. I mean,
Well, that's a very ethical question.
you think about the first. Well, the human race has a wonderful way.
We
of
have an
just-
awesome fucking
we-
track record.
Yeah.
we have a wonderful way of infesting. It seems. With
We have talked about being a virus before.
the speed of which we can reproduce versus how much resources that we utilize versus how little we output.
So I guess the best way to put this is, okay, say we find another place that can support us. Is it okay to take over? Is it okay to populate? Like, say there's these creatures we've never seen before. They live there. They have their own ecosystem. The thing is that we can live there too with our biology. Is that okay?
Okay, think about this type of scenario though. If our planet is soon to expire and all we have left is this new planet that we found that we just discovered, we have the means to get there and we have the means to transport X amount of people. What option do we have at that point?
But is that okay?
I think at that point we definitely have those discussions about what can we and can't we do about taking over a planet. You know, like okay, we can come in, but we can't disturb the natural order of like these species.
But there's no
But
way.
at the same time, people, if there's
But
fish,
there's no-
there's like kind of fish there that we can eat. Somebody out there is gonna be like, you can't catch it. Some governments be like, you can't eat the fish here or whatever. But some guy's gonna all of a sudden go and catch one of those fish and fucking eat it.
Yeah, and then the possibility is that he could die.
Yeah.
I mean, even the presence of us being there could be extremely hazardous without proper observation and research on wherever
He's
we're
making an
planning
awesome
on going.
point.
Yeah, I think the current if you said right now today if we were gonna go to another planet, I would not trust us to be doing shit right.
Well,
But you asked me that in 100 years, and I see where that culture's at. I think we're gonna have a lot better chance of doing something right the next time because it's like we're totally fucked this planet up, completely fucked this planet up. They keep saying like we're so close where we can't change anything, and this planet's gonna be super fucking hot, and some scientists out there are gonna have to figure out some crazy shit to get us out of this crap.
Man, Captain Planet must be pissed at us.
He's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
Turns out all the kids ended up spawning their rings after the series ended. So,
But I think
Hard times.
I think we'd actually start a civil. We'd realize what we did wrong. We'd recognize the history of what we did wrong in the past. And try to
it
improve
would
on
be
it.
a civil war if we went to another planet and there were sentient beings.
Well, it also depends on if you're taking everybody or you're only taking a select few.
Yeah.
Now there is the likelihood. I mean, too many.
But anyway, we've gotten far away from UFOs.
No, actually, I think we were like solid on this. Like
Now, now think about this: if time has an infinite loop on itself, and history just essentially can repeat itself, now, would it be possible, say, for a parallel dimension that runs along the same diagram that we are, ends up figuring out how to distort time, ends up in our dimension to observe us, or hence warn us about what's about to happen? Now that could explain. That's one explanation.
There's theory,
towards-
there's like theories out there that the aliens are actually out there trying to warn us.
The interesting thing is, though, in time travel, you can never alter your own timeline. Anytime,
because your timeline, exists no matter what.
Yeah, your timeline is set. That is just it. Now,
it's not like Bill and Ted where you can go back and leave yourself a set of keys.
It's essentially taking a byway and then going onto a different highway that runs right alongside the interstate that you're already on.
I just realized I just thought of like the newest Avengers movie, like Endgame, and they talk about how like you can't, like, that happened, like you can't change that.
Exactly.
Right.
But we can kind of mess with stuff now and change it.
But it's also like on what it, like I know that we started the show.
We can change things in the present, but not in the past.
I wish I could go back in time to 1999 to a slice of pizza that I had at Zachary's, which was totally fucking awesome and the best slice I ever had.
Like I know we started the show on the topic of like UFOs, but Tony brings up an awesome concept. Like
what, pizza?
That too. But like to travel space, you might actually have to have a time dilation like way to fuck with things.
Yeah. Well, I always think of Star Trek. It's like,
warp speed.
Well, that's how I think they kind of. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but maybe that's how they kind of make up for like time being different.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at between worlds, like, okay, on this world, like, fucking 100 light years away, or 80 light years away, like, how is time still running exactly the same?
So
I don't know. I'd have to talk to like a fucking like physicist about this shit to really know.
I think it would be considered a form of time travel, or
it would be a
wormhole. A wormhole is essentially a little hole or a tube that
like
you can
an Einstein-Rosen
jet
bridge.
So you take 2 points and
yeah.
God, I wish you guys could see my hands.
That's actually why I like the movie. That's why I like the movie and book Dune. The idea of just folding space rather than actually traveling.
Good.
Anywhere.
Well, no,
good example.
I think actually,
That's
what is it?
a good way to put it.
There's been like theories out there about that stuff too. I think like Futurama might have done that. Or...
Futurama did that.
There's been people explain like, okay, how does this form of travel work? Like it's like by folding space. Like, okay, imagine this paper is you start on this end and you end on this end of the paper. But what this does is you fold this piece of paper in half and then you just you punch a hole through it.
Yep.
And that's how you get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So in Futurama, the drive was like it actually it wasn't that the ship went through space. It was that space traveled around the ship.
That's right. Yeah, I forget what it was called. But I'm going to keep the show rolling.
Yeah.
What would be the point of species that aren't us from this planet to watch what we're doing?
Just to shake their
education.
heads. Shake their heads and
Learning.
say, kids, don't do
Learning.
that.
Learning.
Learning.
Well, let me throw this analogy out there of like the ant. We study ants. Those ants probably look at us as fucking aliens. Like, who the hell are these creatures? If they even can think that, can comprehend it.
Who are these? Yeah. What's this?
Or just look at the dog.
Yeah.
You think the dog is like looking at us like they're a god, or something. Stuff like that. But it's like that's the same way.
Cat's got that wonderful fuck you.
Yeah,
attitude.
you figure an alien be traveling to our planet and looking at us and be like, "Oh, look at these fucking things," It's but like that'd be the same thing. It's like they want to learn. Like, so we're learning about the ants, about how they function and interact and everything, and that's what we're pretty much are to these aliens. We think I'm obviously like guessing, but they just want to know like, hey, how do these things tick? How do these things work?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why are they so angry?
Yeah, exactly. Why are they? Why are they blowing themselves up and killing themselves?
Why do they wear hats? Why do they wear shoes?
Yeah.
Why do they have culture? Like,
why are they taking so many drugs?
Yeah. That's another question.
I could be an ambassador in that end.
Yeah. Fucking seems like a lot of the U.S. population could be too.
So like on an ending note, guys, have you ever seen anything that you couldn't explain that you might feel was something alien?
Well, for me, I mean, I kind of take almost everything with a grain of salt, I should say. So
Yeah.
even things that I think I've experienced in the past, I mean, who's to say why not? You know,
I would-
Dude, good way to
I-
put that.
yeah.
Dude,
I won't.
good way to put
I
that.
won't put it on one side or the other. I mean, because either side could be explained. One just takes a hell of a lot more time.
Well, me, I'm all about the facts, and I don't think I've had that situation come up in my life. But I always tell you, it's like I want to believe.
That's
You
right.
give me the evidence, I'll believe it. But I need some proof.
Well, like
That's when I talked about Bob Lazar. I was kind of like, there's some shit in there. Like, okay, some of the shit's just kind of fucking crazy and out there, but at the same time, like some of the stuff that like the more concrete stuff actually is like this seems possible.
Yeah, I hear you. Like Chad and I about 3 years ago were driving home. We thought we saw these three lights in the sky, and it was a rainy night. Rainy night. Nothing that humans have could have held still in that. And we actually got out of the car and we're staring at it. And it was like these three lights. And it was raining, lightning, and these three lights, one by one, went to the right, up into the clouds, one by one. And like we watched it happen. Chad will tell you the story. And we looked at each other like it was to the point to where we got out of the car.
Jeez.
Yeah, so so to end the show, what do you guys think about alien abduction, aliens themselves? Do you think they exist? Give me your
I'd say like if aliens are out there and they're studying us, I don't think they're trying to destroy us. You see all that with like like an Independence Day or something.
No, I don't
They're
think,
out there to like just destroy us.
well, like Stephen Hawking is
Like somebody really gonna travel halfway across the fucking galaxy or however far to fucking see us just to destroy us? I mean, if they obviously want our resources, but I'm sure there's a lot better places to find fucking resources.
I don't think we'll
we
ever.
won't really have that much left.
Well, I don't think we'll ever see like an Independence Day
Yeah,
where like they come.
or if they just want to enslave us and use us
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
planet. But
What do you think, Tony?
Well, you kind of run it by probability. I mean, I think that you have peaceful races, and then you also have warring races.
Good fucking
And then,
point.
True.
and then who's to say that by the time these, all these races have acquired the ability to be able to travel throughout space, who's to say they haven't formed some kind of galaxy or a federation or something like that, which then intercedes in, say, an aggressive race, picking on a newer race.
Well, there
by
we go. There we
comparison,
go.
you
Dude,
know?
Yeah.
good fucking
And
point.
For all
actually.
we know, that shit could be going on behind the scenes, and we maybe catch a grain of sand worth of what is going on around us.
oh, totally.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
We
man?
just like to just think about like what
we
could
like
be.
we like to.
But at the same time, like
speculate.
we could be talking about all this shit, and none of it could even be like anywhere. Like all the shit's just made up. We just made it up because we humans are very susceptible and want to be like magical thinkers,
Right.
and all that.
I remember one time I went to a rave out in the middle of the desert, and it's actually what kind of made me laugh.
was I there?
No, this was like back in, I think 2000, 2001. I don't
Are you
think it-
sure I was there?
I don't even remember the name of the party. It was like through word of mouth. And like I just remember being out there and there was a guy on the way in. You had to go through this little dirt path to get to an open field.
That's Cowtown.
And I don't think it was Cowtown because it
Okay.
didn't have the little the box cars.
Oh, you're right.
But long story short, it was a really jolly looking man dressed in these
He was
wonderful
not of this earth.
We dressed in these wonderful neon colors, covered in glow sticks and the glow rings and all that other fun stuff that ravers wore back in that day. And he just held up this big sign at an angle to the sky so people could also read, "Bring back Elvis."
Whoa!
Well, one question just
Hell yeah!
question just came to mind is, do aliens walk among us?
That's a good question. I honestly believe it. I honestly believe it is a thing. I honestly believe it's like
Just disguised, like an MIB type thing.
not quite that. It's well, MIB. That's a good way to put
Yeah.
it. But like, think about so many things that you've seen that aren't able to be explained.
I just realized I got to write this down. Like Nerdy Bones should do an MIB episode, but on like the real about like the movies or comics.
Like, do you think you've ever encountered Tony? Do you think you've ever encountered somebody that wasn't of this earth?
Oh, no doubt, man.
Yeah.
No doubt, especially in the music scene.
Oh, dude, hell
I
yeah!
have met some
Dude,
very
give me
interesting
one.
people.
Give me one.
They just needed to go home, man.
Don't fucking touch me, bro.
I mean, I remember one time we were playing this punk rock show, and there was this band that had gone on. The singer was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the drugs he was on or whatever, but that guy just had this like empty vibe about him that wouldn't be like what you would find in that kind of culture where, they're trying hard not to try hard.
There we go. There we
You
go.
know?
There we go.
This dude had a weird look about him, and he sounded
You just
weird.
felt different about the guy.
Yeah. Nice guy, though. He gave me a donut.
What about you, Nick?
What? Oh, do I feel ever met any aliens?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say so. I've known people that definitely are weird enough that they could have been.
Yeah.
But how do we know fucking even
I gotta
aliens?
ask
How do we know aliens are just weird people? Why aren't there like fucking CEOs and shit?
I gotta ask the
executives?
question because I'm going like the round
Like
table.
They Live. Look at They Live. They're fucking all the aliens. All the skies. They were all living among us, but they were all like fucking corporate greed motherfuckers.
If that's true, we are totally fucked because we don't have Rowdy Piper anymore.
Ah,
right.
my God, damn it!
There's no one to come and shoot bubblegum and kick
What do we
ass.
do?
Exactly. I mean, what the hell do we do?
What do we do?
But
We
actually,
we don't have any.
We need the kilt.
or the Macho Man.
Wasn't They Live a like social commentary on the 80s?
Fuck yeah, it was.
I fucking love that movie. That's like probably my all-time favorite John Carpenter film. Actually. I love that movie so much.
So let's bring this episode to an end, brothers. Thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah, man.
And,
Thanks for having me on.
It's fun.
our second episode of Cryptid Bones. Tonight we talked about UFOs, possibility of alien life, and if you have any comments, let us know. So just I don't have a thing to end Cryptid Bones yet,
You can just do we're out.
and we're out.